I need to tell you something that's been sitting heavy on my mind during my macroeconomics lectures lately. I'm 20 years old, I live in a small country in Eastern Europe, and I'm currently finishing my degree at a University of Economics. Like most of you, I grew up watching American movies, listening to American music, and being told that the United States is the ultimate endgame for success. You see the six-figure salaries in tech, the massive suburban houses, and the lifestyle that seems decades ahead of what we have here. But as I dive deeper into the actual data, the inflation rates, the cost of living indices, and the real purchasing power, I've realized something terrifying. The American dream, the one they sell to the world, isn't just hard to reach anymore. For my generation, Gen Z, it's a mathematically broken system. And before you think this is just some European hating on America, just look at the numbers with me. Because what I've found is that being poor in Europe might actually be a better financial strategy than being rich in the US. Let's talk about the biggest trap of all, the salary. In the US, a starting software engineer or financial analyst might make $125,000. In my country, or even in Western Europe, that sounds like an impossible fortune. But as an economics student, I look at the real wage, not the nominal one. After federal, state, and city taxes, that 125,000 shrinks instantly. But then, you hit the hidden taxes that we Europeans simply don't have. In the States, the average health insurance premium for a single person is over $8,000 a year. And even with that, you have a deductible of $2,000 or more before the insurance even pays a cent. In the US, healthcare isn't a right, it's a massive subscription service you can't cancel. If you lose your job, you lose your health. That's not a career, that's an entrapment. Then there is the car dependency. This is something most Americans don't even realize is a choice. Because of how their cities are designed, sprawling suburbs with no sidewalks or trains, owning a car is a mandatory participation tax just to live in society. The average car payment is now $750 a month. Add insurance, gas, and maintenance, and you are easily spending $12,000 a year on a depreciating asset. In my city, I can walk to the grocery store, bike to university, or take a high-speed train for €50 a month. That's $10,000 a year I get to keep and invest while my American peers stuck in traffic in a metal box that's losing value every second. When you add it up, a $60,000 salary in Europe often has more disposable income than a $100,000 salary in a major US city. This is where the math truly gets depressing. I am currently getting a top-tier economics degree for almost zero cost. My government and my taxes cover it. I will graduate at 21 or 22 years old with a degree and zero debt. In the United States, the average student starts their adult life $37,000 in the hole. It is not uncommon to see people owing over $100,000 before they even earn their first paycheck. Since the early 2000s, college tuition in the US has increased by 180%, while entry-level salaries adjusted for inflation have been completely flat. It is a scam disguised as an investment. Imagine starting a race where you are already 5 miles behind everyone else. American graduates spend their entire 20s and 30s just trying to get back to zero, while I am already building my net worth from day one. And let's look at the job market they are graduating into. It's brutal. Companies are doing massive layoffs, replacing entry-level roles with AI or offshoring them to places like where I live. My girlfriend, who is also graduating soon, sees the same thing. Hundreds of applications, constant resume tweaking, and total silence from recruiters. But here's the difference. If she doesn't find a job in her field immediately, she isn't ruined. She has healthcare. She doesn't have a $100,000 loan breathing down her neck. In the US, if you don't land that good job immediately, the interest on your debt starts compounding, and you are trapped in minimum wage retail just to survive. The wage penalty for graduating into a bad market can last 15 years in the US. Here, it's a setback. There, it's a life sentence. Then we have the housing crisis. The American dream used to be a house with a white picket fence. Now that house costs 7 times the average annual salary. In cities like New York, even people making 6 figures are forced to live with 2 or 3 roommates just to make the math work. They aren't buying property, they are paying off their landlord's mortgage. In Europe, while prices are rising, we still have a much higher rate of home ownership in many Eastern countries. And more importantly, We have social safety nets that prevent total homelessness from a single medical bill. Medical debt causes 60% of bankruptcies in the US. Think about that. The wealthiest country in the world bankrupts its own citizens because they got sick. As someone with an economics background, that isn't just cruel, it's inefficient and unsustainable. So, what is the plan? Why am I staying here instead of chasing that big American salary? Because I've realized that we are the first generation that can play a different game entirely. We have the technology to earn Western wages while living in Eastern costs. This is what we call geographic arbitrage. I see Americans now moving to Portugal, Spain, or even my home country because they realize that a $2,000 monthly income here buys a higher quality of life than $5,000 in America. They want the walkability, the safety, the healthcare, and the community. They are fleeing the hustle culture that has left them burned out and broke despite making good money. I'm making this video because I want my generation to stop feeling like they are losing a game that was rigged before they were even born. We don't have to accept the traditional path of debt, car payments, and overpriced healthcare. We can build remote skills. We can live in places where the math actually makes sense, and we can prioritize our time over our bank balance. The traditional American path isn't just hard anymore, it's fundamentally broken for most people our age. But once you notice the handcuffs, you can start looking for the key. I'm choosing to build a life here, where I can walk to a cafe, enjoy a €3 coffee, and know that a broken leg won't cost me my entire future. The world is changing, and maybe it's time we stop looking west for the dream and start building it right where we are.